What's up, everybody? Well, I got another FIREBAT mini PC gameplay video for you guys today, and today we're going to check out Watch Dogs. Now, what I'm really trying to do is work up to Watch Dogs 2. Somebody requested to see how that ran on this guy. So, first, we'll finish up with just Watch Dogs. Now, it played pretty good on the Steam Deck, played very well on the Ally X, so it should play very well on here too. And I'm sure you guys have noticed, I have finally gotten a new little entertainment stand for my TV. My old one was looking quite a bit, well, bendy. I noticed while I was editing, you could almost put your finger through the bend and whatnot because it kind of had its little things right in the middle, and then these were right off on the edge with nothing supporting them. So this thing was bent and the other side was bending pretty bad too. So I was like, okay, well, that's probably not good. This thing was like a $20 cheap piece of crap anyway, so I think it's time to upgrade. So I went to a $50 piece of crap. I should have just gotten something really nice, but I saw that, and most of the time, like I tell you guys, I go by how cool the thing looks. And I really like the way the wood looked. So I was like, all right, cool, that'll be nice. I don't need anything that extravagant. It's just gotta hold up a freaking cheapo Vizio TV anyway. Now, if I had something I was trying to hold up one of my OLEDs or something like that, I'd spend a little more and get something a little more sturdy. That thing can only hold up 40 pounds. But it also gave me a place to put more of my Steam Deck and my Ally instead of just having them on my nightstand precariously hanging where the cat could probably knock them over at a moment's notice. Anyway, now that we got that all out of the way, let's hop into the game and have a look at the settings. Well, alright. Unfortunately, we could not get OBS to record. I tried, but no matter what, it's just a black screen and not even the audio this time. It does nothing. As far as it's concerned, this game isn't even running in the background right now. So, I unfortunately have no way other than that to get you guys any footage, so we're just going to have to go back to old school camera recorded gameplay. So I'm sorry about that, guys. I've been trying to do both of them to make the videos more professional, but sometimes games owe me in the face like this. So, anyway, we're going to start with 1080p. 60 is the max for this, but we got no VSync anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We're doing the Ultra MSAA 2X like we did on the Ally X. And then for graphics quality, it says custom, but it's basically just high preset with these two things turned off. Because I don't like those things. That's just me, and neither one of those things really fuck with your FPS whatsoever. So it shouldn't really be a big deal. It's just a personal preference of mine. Anyway, now we got that out of the way, it's time to get into the game. Here we are in game. And it seems like we're just about at 30 FPS on this guy with these settings. I bet you there'll be times where it will drop under 30 though. Here and there, but it probably won't be too often. But let's find out. We're just running around town here. And if it does it here, it surely will other places too. But so far it seems very playable. We are maxing out our memory, so we're going to get our usual little stutters. So I would probably not play this like this. Oh, we dropped all the way down to 18 because we're out of VRAM. I don't know why. I have it set to 8 and it only uses 4 now, so maybe you would have to do 64 gigs of RAM in this system just to make it actually allow you to use the full 8. I'm not sure, but that's kind of annoying. Because power-wise, it should be able to do this. It was doing it just fine before we ran out of memory. And now we're getting the same usual, just terrible frame times. Now, I didn't bother, this isn't like an online-based game, so I didn't bother hooking up the Ethernet cord to it, so that's not why it's doing that this time. I think this time it's because we're out of VRAM. And that's the bane of my existence. It's got 32 gigs of freaking RAM now, and we got, we got the frame buffer set to 8 gigs in the BIOS, which should supersede everything else, but there must be something else in Windows, or maybe the Radeon settings, where it just goes, nope, all you get is 4 now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll take that over the 2 that it was limiting it to before, which made almost every game unplayable. But, man. Definitely not a super pleasant experience, that's for sure. So yeah, definitely wouldn't play on these settings on this system. But it's mostly the VRAM. I think it would have had enough power to just barely scrape by if it wasn't for the stupid VRAM limit. Because the Ally X had no problem at all. It was in the 30s and 40s. Mostly around 40, I'd say averaging 43-ish. It would just be a good stab in the dart. Cool, it's almost like a Firebird mixed with a Camaro. Huh. They know what they were doing. Wow, that was bad. Yeah, running out of VRAM is never fun. This is what you deal with. Although, there's probably people out there that could play no problem like this and this wouldn't even bother them. This would drive me up a wall, so I could never play with these kinds of stutters going on. But I'm not everybody. So I'm still glad that I sat here for like 3 minutes or so getting you guys some footage. But I think we should now drop it down to 900p and see what's what. Oh, and the other lame thing about this game I should have mentioned on the Ally X is every time you change either the like screen, like windowed, full screen, or borderless, crashes the game. Or if you change the resolution in any way, it crashes the game. Even if you're not in the game. I don't know what's up with that, but anyway, let's go set it to 900p, have the game crash, and then I'll get you guys the actual settings screen. Alright, now for 900p. Everything here is almost the same, except for I forgot to do that. I'm glad I looked. We're going to do that down to high. Since there's only 3 settings, I decided to do, ultra instead of just high when I did the high settings. And then we dropped that down from MSA to just SMA. And then for that, we did medium preset. And with that out of the way, let's get back into the game. Alright, now here we go. We are in the game. And it seems to be doing a lot better so far, but let's just play for a while and see if it runs out of VRAM again or something. Although it's letting us use even more this time, so maybe that wasn't the issue. But it sure looked like it was. Alright, now we drop down to more of what I'm used to seeing. I've never even seen it use 4 gigs like that yet. It's usually like 3.9 something. But so far we're getting pretty smooth frame times. I saw one big stutter so far, but besides that, we've been getting some pretty good frame times and pretty good FPS. So, I mean, just like on the Ally, this is probably how I'd play the game if I had this system and only this system. Hey, I'm walking here! Anyway. Buy and sell. Cash for gold. Yeah, so far, so good. This seems very playable. I wonder if this game's physics get broken after you go past 60 FPS, because I'm looking down at his, like, trench coat, and it's, like, shaking like crazy. It's one of the lame parts about, I like the smoothness of going over 60 in a lot of games, but seeing some of this shit kind of pisses me off. But I usually deal with that over having just 60 in games like this. Because 60 can feel sluggish to me, personally, but it's still my bare minimum for, like, having an enjoyable experience in a game. Don't get me wrong, I'll still play games at 30 or 40. I have to all the time on my Steam Deck, but I don't enjoy it as much as I could if it was a little bit faster. But that's just me. Not everybody has to think like me or play games like me. They can do whatever they want. That's why I make these videos, so you guys can just see how things run at all sorts of various settings and whatnot. And on all different systems, too. I got quite a few, so I might as well share them and do a bunch of these obscure older games that people aren't going to do for people anymore. I don't know when this game came out, but I think in one video I guessed 2015, 2016. I could be wrong. Probably am, but that was always just my guess. Anyway, though, I'd say it's about time to move on to 720p now. Now here's the settings for 720p. Gotta change that too. Now I remember why I don't change that. In game, when I'm changing stuff around before it kicks me out, I can't even change this. So I'd have to quit out of the game anyway. So that's fine that it actually crashes for me, but just know it's gonna crash anytime you mess with this or that. Anyway, now for the rest of the settings, we're gonna plop that just down to low, hit apply. And there we go. That's what we're running for low settings. So now let's get back in the game and see if it really gained anything. On the Ally X, it gained a little bit, like 8 to 10 FPS, but it wasn't really worth the graphics sacrifice in my personal opinion. But let's see what you guys think. All right, here we are in the game. And definitely got a little bit of a performance uptick here. Big old stutter, but we got one of those while I was running this way at 900p too. But yeah, we seem to be getting more of a FPS difference on this PC than we did on the Ally. Maybe the Ally is just like power limited or something, so it was like trying to give too much to the CPU and not enough to the GPU or something. I'm not sure. All I know is I feel like we're getting even more FPS here than we did on the Ally. The Ally was mostly hanging around like high 80s to like mid 90s. This one seems to be hanging right at 100 the whole time. And it's got weaker RAM, a weaker CPU, and a weaker GPU. So the only thing I can think of is power limited, just because it wasn't plugged into the wall, which I don't know about you guys, but I like not having a cord plugged into my handheld while I'm trying to game. That's like the whole point for me of having a handheld. And I don't want to have a super big battery pack on the back either, because then again I have to have something plugged in and have a battery weighing it down. But that is a cheap way to get better battery life on the go with these things. Or with not this particular thing, but with the handhelds. This thing's almost like a handheld just plopped into a desktop. So half the time I mistakenly call it a handheld, but it's really not.
Can you hurry, please?
Yeah. Though I have noticed when you do this, the CPU works a lot harder, and it seems to get up to that 85, 86 where it wants to start blipping that stupid fan up and down. This thing is like completely quiet as long as you can keep it like around where it is now. But once you get to like 85, 86, that fan's gonna start going off on, off on, off on. Oh, there's the lady looking at pants again. Pants lady. Oh, there it goes again. I don't know if you guys can actually hear that or not. But I will say, no matter what, it keeps it right at around 4.3 to 4.4 gigahertz. So as long as it's keeping its clock speeds up, that's all that really matters, right? Well, that and as long as it's not a stuttery mess. But we're definitely doing fine on VRAM and everything now. We're only using 3.1 of our 4 gig allotment now. Yeah, we have a little stutter every once in a while, but for the most part, we're getting like butter smooth frame times again. So if you want like esports levels of FPS, just plop it on to low if you don't care. And the graphics definitely look a lot more muted and whatnot like this, but that's what you got to do if you want, you know, lots of FPS. I'd still probably just play this game at 900p with the medium settings myself, just like on the Ally, but that's just me. I'd say that's as medium would have you believe, medium is a good medium settings, and it was good medium settings for graphics, and it was good for the medium-ish frame rate. Well over 60, but not into the hundreds like this. But in any case, I think that's more than enough for this particular video, so why don't we go ahead and wrap it on up. Alright guys, that's a wrap for Watch Dogs on the FIREBAT mini PC, and it did a pretty good job. It couldn't quite handle 1080p with high settings and ultra textures. I think it ran out of VRAM, and we were getting some really bad stutters. And I think with 900p medium, we seem to be right at that limit, because it seemed to be right about the same, but the whole time I played for the same amount of time, we didn't get any of those stutters. Now maybe those would start rearing their head later after I played for an hour or two, not sure, but if it does that, just put it down to 720p and low, and you won't have a problem with VRAM anymore. Or obviously you could sit there and tinker with your heart's content. Put some things on medium, put some things on high. That's the beauty of PCs. You can do whatever you want. As long as your thing is powerful enough to actually play the game in the first place, you can usually, you know, get the game into a playable state. Not always 60, but at least a playable state. But in any case, that's all I got for you guys for this particular video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.